Yes, then those black leathers. Okay, so the one on top. Okay. Let me explain something. Because making me to explain what's the pressure. The whole idea behind it. For straight skirt. First things first, I need you to understand the reason why you have your back shape or your back piece. You know, normally, let's say you just have a zipper allowance, but that, no, okay, we can explain why you have that subtraction on your back piece. So your back piece, you have your zipper allowance. So if you have your zipper allowance, you have your skirt like this. Your zipper allowance is what are you supposed to do? Explain. Why this? So it's the same thing for basic bodies. Let's quickly let's quickly grab again. Let's play the second one. In fact, get me a marker. So the first thing you need to do when you are drafting, both for your skirt, both for anything, you mark out half. You need to mark out that half you have inch deciding that the joining allowance of anything. So blouse is for your shoulder allowance. If it's a skirt, it's for your joining your waist. So it's almost for everything. Who are we going to use for the skirts? Let's use the normal. Can you climb this? I say you should stand on your knees. Climb this. So we are using Geneva as let's say as what now? Illustration, as mannequin to understand the human body, to understand why we do certain things. So since we started from skirt, come back, let me merge skirt and basic bodies together, especially for the back side. The basic bodies, people are going to learn it, but I just need to explain some concepts. Now for skirts, you see, touch your waist, just put hands and finger on your waist. So where your waist is. Thank you. So look at her waist. Do you understand? Then look at her hip side. You see that it's bigger than that waist. Then hold your gown tight like this down. You tight like this down. Look at that shape you had for the back. So if you are not careful, if you are not intentional, you think that shape is happening just as for your skirt. You see that we have whatever is your zipper allowance, you are adding half inch. Now, for let's say for basic knowledge, you understand. If you proceed in fashion, you begin to understand regulation. In fact, there are some ways if you are padding that you have just maybe you have underboats. You have underboats. You know, for your princess that dress here, you are padding the boat. So you are taking your nipple to nipple, you are taking your underboat, you are taking different. It's the same thing for that. You are padding that. I was padding that. I would measure an underboat. I would measure to block the cap. You understand? So, but this is. So when you see that shape, you see that's why we answer, okay, your zipper allowance, use 1.5 inch, add half inch at that hip area, and then for that slit area, you are moving that half inch and making it. You're having 1.5, you're having 2, you're having 1 because of the figure we have at the back. And if the person there are some women that have deep back, small waist, they have big hip, and you may even there are some butt allowance that you are going to have to add even up to 1 inch, some 3/4 depending on the person's size. So whatever we are doing now is just a basic guide. It's just a basic guide. As you advance, different measurements that suit the person's body. Do you understand? Now for basic bodies, I think you're going to do that one. Are going to learn how to drive basic bodies. But I also want to explain the zipper bulge. Now, still hold your dress, catch your front, and yes, catch it very distinct. The human back is not straight. The back is slanty. The back is this is the shape you have at the back, just like you have like the sides. You have this. This is the shape you have at the back. Just like you have at the sides. The only thing is that the size is not long. This is the same shape you have at the back. Do you understand? So the human back is not straight. And that's what I was trying to explain to you. There is something called zipper bulge. Zipper bulge. And that is when the process where you make it down. I was correcting her, turn your back, that's the blouse, you can come down. You see that thing, touch it. Thank you. You see her zip is bulging there because she did not take note of it while she was drafting her back piece. If you are, let's assume you have, this is the allowance for your basic bodies. Then you have, you see, this thing, you capture shoulder strength because the human shoulder is not straight. You can check your neighbor's shoulder, see it's slanting. So everything you are doing in fashion is basically capturing is what is on the body that we are trying to represent for paper on fabric. So you have your ankle, and let's say you have something like this. Something like this, let's assume these are basic bodies, and then we have this as I introduced something called fitting line, which is for your basic bodies, it's like 2 inches. It's like 2 inches after your underbust. So you cut down by 2 inches, you are going to move that line. I just call it fitting line. And it's just a guide. So if let's say this is your front neck, and then let's say this is your back neck. This is your back neck. So after you draft out your back neck, you are going to add your zipper allowance, which is what? 1.5 inch. Now extend this fitting line. The 1.5 inch, you take out half inch to get that back side. And that is what eliminates zipper bulge. So if I have 1.5 inch, I'm going to have 1 inch because I'm taking out half inch. You know, for the butt allowance, you're having half inch. And for the basic bodies, you're subtracting 1.5 inch. And then, of course, continue to here with your 1.5 inch. So I'm going to mark this. Let's assume this is my 1 inch, my 1.5 inch. I'm going to mark it like this. And then of course I told you that we don't do pointy edges. So if you mark something on the front, I don't have to look at it. You have to call it down. Are you forgetting me? Then if you have your half cut your half cut is looking something like this. Now for your half cut, after your underbust line, you you are coming down by how many inches? Your half cut, you are coming down by 3 inches. And I've explained, if you've not heard me explaining why, for the half cut, why we are having 3 inches after the underbust. Vera, let's look at you. Now, take that your flame and put it underneath. How does this look? It looks funny. Do you understand? So your flame, except it's for a specific style, it's for normal attachment, peplum, gown, whatever. It does not start directly at another bust. Do you understand? Release it down. You see that it's coming down. So that's why we say, okay, add 3 inches after your under bust. Add 3 inches for your half cut, because you are going to be attaching something. So if you have half inch joining for your shoulder, ideally your attachment, whether for gown, whether for peplum, whether for anything you need to attach, should not be less than 2 inches after your under bust. Do you get? It should not be less than 2 inches after your under bust. I've told some people, okay, 1.5 inch, but somehow is not working. So I've said the back now, it should not be less than 2 inches. So it means that when I'm done with my dress and I measure my dress, if my under bust, my half cut length is 14, my peplum should be connecting for nothing less than 16. And that is the principle that also guides your flare width, getting your flare, which I'm also, that's the main thing I want to explain. I just need to go through the background for us to understand. Do you understand? So if I'm coming down for my half cut by 3 inches, this curve you give here, it adds beauty to the dress. It adds beauty to the dress. It adds beauty to the dress. You understand? It gives that beauty when you have it coming like this. It adds beauty to the dress. So that's why we want to insist on it. After you drafted, go up by 1.5 inch and blend that as for beauty purposes. So by the time you do this, let's say you curl the shoulder, of course that happens to the shoulder, you curl the shoulder, and then you probably join. Maybe by the time you are done, join the it's going to your that 3 inches encompasses every allowance. So when you are done, you are going to have your blouse. This one, of course, top sat. Back fitting line, or even facility. So you are going to have this line. And that is what it eliminates. If you do that, you are not going to have that thing. Do you understand? Okay, so I want to explain the concept of peplum. There are different types of peplum depending on what you want to see. And the idea behind peplum is just the concept of a circle. When you think about peplum, think about circle. A full circle is how many degrees? It's 360 degrees. So that's a full circle. Half of a circle is, let me draw it. This is a full circle. This is 360 degrees. Abi? This is 360 as a full circle. When I divide it into 2, what do I have? 180 degrees. And this is the shape divided into 2. You see the shape back. Then if I divide it into 4, let's assume this line crosses over. What are we going to have? 90 degrees. So all those things I'm saying, go and learn 90 degrees. It's just circle. So this is the shape we are going to have. So it means when a flare is 360 degrees, I'm going to have a full circle. When a flare is 180 degrees, I'm having half of a circle. When a flare is 90 degrees, I'm having quarter of a circle. So let me quickly prove that. This is the folding. I said when you are folding for, where is my pencil? If you are folding for, let me put this aside. If I'm folding for 360, please be writing as I'm talking. You are folding, let's say this is the full paper, this is the full material. you are folding two rectangles. So if this is my full fabric, you are going to fold like this, 1 and 2. I'm having two rectangles. Two rectangles is what you are folding. And take note that because when I was learning, me too, I made that mistake. I think I was drafting on these two open sides. By the time you finish cutting, you are going to have your flake divided into 4. So take note that you are marking from two closed sides. So now let me do that illustration without, because of course if you are doing your blouse, you are going to have your flare width and then your flare length. And you are going to draft something like this. So let's assume, give me a tape. So now let me I just want to show you the shapes. So this is a length of 4. So let me mark that 4 around. Okay, so I've marked my 360 degrees. So take note, can you see from two close sides? If I do it from here, what going what is it? So let me cut out this. What do I have? The folding for 180 degree plate, this is our fabric. You have a rectangle and then a triangle. And take note that you are having one closed side and one open side. Do you get? One closed side and one open side. Don't go and do this mistake of having two open sides. You go and fold something like this. The two sides are open. Except you want to join by the sides. You are having a rectangle and then a triangle. Now, one benefit with this, or should I say, one of the things with this play, different plays for different reasons. Now, with this paper, I was able to get for my 360 degree play, I was able to get maximum length of what? 4. That was the maximum length I could get. But now, with this 180 degree, I'm able to get the length of 6 or 6 and 4. Do you understand? And I could even to get maybe the width I would have gone, the width I would have used here, I would have given you 4. I can use it here and get 6 and 4. So let me cut it now. Then the next thing is 90 degree. And the folding for 90 degree, your fabric is open. You're having 2 triangles. Two triangles. So in 180 degree flow, you got the maximum length of 6.2. For this, we are going to get up to what? We're getting up to 8.2. This is that's the whole concept behind it. And then as you progress, you are going to be learning 720. What is 720? 720 is 360 times 2 is what? 720. Do you understand? So because the 720 play is telling me, give me 2 seconds. 1080, 360 times 3 is 1080. So 1080 is telling me produce the same width on 3 seconds. So all these things, they are different effects. All of them produce different effects. If the client's waist is, let's say, 28, and I'm telling you, give me a waist, that is a flare width. If I produce a flare width of 28 on 90-degree flare, you can get the flare width, but you see that the flare is not going to flare like that. Do you understand? You're going to have the same width, but you don't have a full effect down. And so there are some gowns that, maybe there are some styles you see, it's looking like flare, but it's not flare like flare. So it's possibly, that gown is possibly a 90-degree flare. Because for some of those styles, you may say, if you go and cut 360 this thing, it will not be too much. And then you'll be wondering what the issue is. And it's not straight. It's not straight, but it's not plain like that. It's possibly a 90-degree flare. Do you understand? Then if you want to proceed to 180-degree flare, you are producing the same waist, the same flare width of 28 on a 90-degree, and that's what you see for most gowns. Let me see what you are wearing. This one, probably, if I want to cut this one, since I'm seeing it has pleats, it's having pleats and then it's not all that one, I'll probably cut a wide 90-degree flare. Since I see that it's having pleats, but it's not so voluminous. So I'm going to cut, I will probably cut a 90-degree flare, but it will have a wide flare width that will accommodate this. Who is wearing a flare gown? Nobody's wearing a flare gown. So for most gowns, let me say, are you not wearing? Yes, this is a 180-degree flare. And they use it to cut most gowns like this. You see a 180-degree flare. Then there are some that you will see the gown. The gown is maybe it's even flaying more. There are some styles you see the gown is. My phone is this thing is visual. If not, you will have checked out samples of those styles so that you'll be getting an illustration. So the 180 is mostly used for gowns, and one reason is also to achieve more length. Do you understand? And you need more length, you need it to flare like that for gowns and the rest. So mostly 180. The effect is also going to be different when it's on 360 degrees. It's still the same waist on 360 degree flare is different. That's why if you cut a blouse flare of 180 degrees, cut a blouse flare of, see, they are going to be different. You are going to have the same waist measurement, but different outcome on the volume of the flare. Do you understand? Then if I'm not telling you, give me the same waist, 28 on 720, it's going to be more fair. It's still going to carry the same way. So it's not just about you now cut two pieces. There's a calculation for it. So by the time you get to 720, then that one you are going to divide by 4, divide by 2, divide by 4 again. So there's a calculation for that output. There's a calculation for it. You not say, okay, give me the same waist of 28 on 1080. I'm asking you to give me a waist of 28 with 3 seconds. When I'm going to divide your waist by 4, I am divide by 3, then divide by 4. And then by the time you get, you now start calculating how many joinings you have to have for your joining allowance. You start calculating your zip allowance to add so that you know what you. Maybe you will say you don't like maths. So welcome to the arena of mathematics. Sometimes you just see me on the table, I just bend my head down. I'm not sleepy, I'm calculating. And most of the time I'm praying. Most of the time I'm praying. Please will show me the whereabouts of this time, because by the time you start doing asymmetric gown, that is gowns with irregular shape, you know that you need prayer, you need fasting, and you need a lot of thinking. So I don't know that person that told you, because by the time you are doing it, I say go and draft on paper. I don't know the spirit that told you that paper is for what now? It's for beginners. That's not true. I use paper till tomorrow. I use paper till tomorrow. There are some styles you cannot even cut without drafting the pattern, because you need to manipulate. By the time you start doing that manipulations for corsets, for different, you need to manipulate all these things before you now place on your fabric. So that twisted paper that you have to buy is not unique as you are progressing unique paper. Unique pattern paper to develop patterns. So by the time you give me a 1440 flip, I'm asking you to give me the same waist on 4 sectors. And all these things are going to have different effects. I don't know if you've seen a style where you saw the flip. The thing, it does not have pleats. It's the person's exact waist, but the flare is standing, is insulting people like this. Then that flare is possibly, I think 40, you want 5 seconds, you want 10 seconds. Fashion, everything is possible. Everything. The way it is twisting, you think about I hope my video is capturing you. Can entering my camera. Rita. So that's the whole idea behind it. So the formula I gave is to get your flare width. Because when you want to man flare, you need 2 things. You need your flare width. You need your flare width and your flare length. And so far so good, depending on what you want, because there are different things when you want to fold. Kepler. I'm yet to discover a permanent measurement that will give you what you want. I've seen some measurements online. You divide by 6 points. I've tried it for different measurements and it didn't give me. So this is what I do. Especially I want to, how do I know the quantity of fabric to fold? You want to fold your Kepler. How do I know the quantity of fabric to fold? This is what I do. I bet it's easier than all those calculations that work for some measurements that don't work for me. So let's say I want to fold my 360 degree flow and I need, okay, let's do the calculation for flow width first. So I want to calculate my flow width. I need my under bust round. My under bust round plus my zipper allowance when I'm done sewing. You understand? That I want to get the exact flare for 28. I don't want to quit. Now, if I left, that is why you don't just sew one way. You are sewing and you are thinking. If I left 1.5 inch allowance when as my zipper allowance, and I am sewing on a seam allowance of 1/4 inch. Like I'm sewing on 1/4 inch. Some people sew with 1/2 inch, some people sew with 1/4 inch. I like to sew with 1/4 inch so that I don't have too much board. So if I'm sewing my dress, and whatever you are sewing, you maintain it. If you are sewing on 1/2 inch, you need to take that into. But for now, for this class, sew on 1/4 inch. Do you understand? if you don't know how to maintain a straight line and pattern, draw it out. There's no crime in that. Use your tailor chalk and draw out what you need to sew so that you have straight lines and you're maintaining the same allowance. So if I have 1.5 inch and I'm sewing on 1/4 inch, by the time I am done bringing it out and ironing, my zipper allowance must have reduced to what? It has reduced to 1.5. Simple. If my zipper allowance is 1.5 inch, the zipper don't consider that 1/2 inch we minus at for the zipper border, because you are still going to hold the same thing. The zipper allowance you have at the top on your waist or at the top of your is what you are going to hold. If you don't hold it, then the essence of you taking out that 1/2 inch is not there. If this is my good. If I took this thing out, then when I'm done with my blouse, I want to hold zipper allowance. Don't go and hold this shape. You hold it. Let's say I have 1.25 inch. If I have, let's say I finish sewing that, here I have 1.25 inch. You know here you have 3/4. So don't come and hold here 1.25, here 3/4. You have eliminated the effect. I think this one is better. I made this blouse. I sew on 1/4 inch all around. When I brought it out, at this point, I'm going to have 1.25. But you know I subtracted 1/2 inch from here. So here, my zipper allowance remained 3/4. Do you get it? So now, if I tell you go and hold your zipper allowance, the mistake some of you made, and even for skirts, you will now go and hold the 1.25 here, hold 3/4. You are giving it back a straight line. You are supposed to hold that 1.25 you have there, you are supposed to hold the same thing here, so that you still maintain that effect, that snatching effect. The mistake some of you, especially for skirts, if I say go and hold your zipper allowance, if I say go and hold your zipper allowance, how will you get your zipper allowance? You will not carry your back piece. You will not carry your back piece. Let's use the head. You will not carry a place like this. And then you have to see. That's even the person. You will not carry a place like this. You will not go like this. So this is not your allowance. If you do this, hold this. Have you not gone back to holding it straight? You have held this straight. So it means work done equal to 0. So if I tell you go and calculate your zipper allowance for your skirt, and you place like this, you get the zipper allowance for your waist, because it is your waist that is carrying the actual zipper allowance. So if my zipper allowance for my waist here is 1 inch, then I will now mark that 1 inch all round. I'll come to my hip, mark the same 1 inch. Come here, mark the same 1 inch. And when I'm done, I'm going to be having back my shape as a zipper allowance. Do you understand? So if I say go and get your zipper allowance for your half cut, your zipper allowance is going to be at that, and of course because of armhole, like for the half cut, you may be confused. Where am I going to take my zipper allowance? Because there's no armhole. Your zipper allowance, you calculate it from the armhole. So you just open your blouse and measure from one armhole to the other armhole. Divide it by 2. So let's assume this was the front piece. Let's assume this is where my armhole. When I'm done sewing my blouse, this is my armhole. And I say go and get the zipper allowance for maybe your gown or your half cut. I'll just open it from one armhole to the other armhole. So I was talking about my flare, usually 2 measurements, your bust and your under bust round. Even though the 3 inches is going to want to climb around here, but still duplicate that measurement for is for better fitting. It's going to give you a better fitting. I'm sure you've heard the concept of snatching. It means the concept of snatching is you are going to make your waist smaller than what it is. And why is it possible? Because the human body is elastic. It's not. That's why you see snatching work. You cannot snatch this man because it can't stretch. The human body is stretching. Can you see that her stomach is stretching? That the human body is elastic. It can be compressed and it can stretch. But that rubber, that mannequin, you can't snatch it. You can't even try because it's not stretching. So that's the whole concept of snatching. And you somebody that has a stomach of 40, they will snatch it down to 34. They compress the flesh. So you have, even if whatever, let's say for example, don't try for a pregnant woman. That's a miracle. Don't try it now. So even if, but for this one it's going to work because of course it's not going to cover your stomach area, it's just going to be a little bit above your stomach. So the measurement you have here, even if you have somebody that has maybe under bust of 28, then here is 30, use the 28 also. That's for your final shaping. You are shaping your half cup, you are shaping your bust, then whatever is your under bust round is what you shape all through. So you are going to be having something like this. This one is really soft. So back to our flow. Talking about flow by getting to so many things. So we are using our under bust round plus your zipper allowance when you are done sewing. Do you understand? Not the one you drafted. So if I use a zipper allowance of 1.5 inch and I'm done sewing, it's only logical that I'm going to have a zipper allowance of 1.2, which is 1 1/4. Am I going to put 1 1/4? Yes, but I'm going to put 1 1/4 in 2 places. Why? Because when I was folding, it was into, when I was cutting, it was into 2, and I put 1 1/2. Now I've sewn. When I open it, let's assume we are done sewing this blouse. I'm having the 1 1/4 in 2 places. Rita, is it entering? So I'm having it in 2 places. So I'm not just put 1 1/4 in 1 place. So I'm putting, if the under bust is 28. 1 1/4 plus 1 1/4, that's around 2.4. And then my stitching allowance. And as you are sewing, learn to look into the dress you are making. If I'm making a flow, this is my 360. Because I have to learn that. So I'm going to stitch. And I'm stitching on a quarter inch. I'm going to stitch quarter inch this side, quarter inch this side. So quarter plus quarter, that's it. Please give me a student. Sorry, I'm under bust round of 20. And I want to cut a plate that is exactly her waist without pinching. This is what I was cutting. My plate is 7. But if I want to pinch, then I can add excess of this. Different types of pinch, different examples. You want to put a 360 plate. You want to do this all around. And we need to wobble or triple the weight depending on the size. There are some kind of piece that you want to do. Maybe all around, I'll need to get like, if the person's waist is 28 divided by should begin nothing less than 2 inches after your half cut. So if your half cut is 14 plus 2 inches is 16, abi, for example, is 25. So you will now say, okay, carry this 16 subtract from here, it's giving your flail length. If my half cut is, okay, let's say my blouse length is 25. I want to get my flail length. I'll just say, okay, my half cut is 14. Then I want it to start 2 inches after my half cut, which is close to, which is 16. And I'll carry this 16 and divide from 25, and that's going to give me 9. And then I'll
yes, ma'am.
put that tape under her breast. If you are measuring a woman, let the tape follow the shape. So get the blouse length after her lower waist. What is that? So that's 75. 25 is fine. So that is 25. The blouse length is 25. What's your half cut? You are looking inside book. You will go back. If I say you are supposed to know your measurement at the what I'm calling you are know your measurement. Oh yeah. Remember, you are going back to mastering measurement. You know their measurement. Okay. Everybody should know it. What's your practice? What's the next one you're going to do? You're supposed to do so much. Course it. Master business and the half cut is 13 and a half. So I'm 13 and a half. So I'm going to add 2 inches to 13 and a half, which is 15.5. Do you get it? Because I want, if it's a style that, let's say, these styles that come like this, that have a bust. Let me look at that. But if it's a style, there are some styles that the joining is starting and the waist, maybe at the navel length. If it's a style that the joining is starting at the navel length, you're going to subtract, let's say for a gown. Let's not go into that. So for this one, just add 2 inches because your peplum is starting nothing less than 2 inches after your half cut. So adding 2 inches to 13.5 will give me 15.5. And now carry this 15.5 and minus from 25, and that's going to give me 9.5. So I add half inch allowance for joining, that's going to give me 10. I was thinking it was a zipper allowance, but seeing it to check up. 1.2 times. Your zipper allowance after you opened it. The zipper allowance was 1.2 when it was you know your fabric is folded into 2. Then you just put your zipper allowance at 1.2. When you now open that fabric, you are having 1.2 in 2 places. So when you are finished sewing your clothes, you have your dress as one piece. It's not folded into 2. Come back there. So when she was marking this thing, this back piece, it was folded into 2. She just added the 1.2. So now when she opens it, this side is carrying 1.2, this other side is carrying 1.2. So now how do I locate where to mark my flow with? What I was talking about. On some video they say divide the waist by 6.4 something. I've tried it and it worked for some, it didn't work for all. So simple and poor. What I used to do is I need a flow width of, for example, I need a flow width of 7.75. I think. So what I'll do is I'll just can this place, where can give me 70 paper? Somewhere here. Their place might take across like this. You can, this place is most likely going to give me 70 paper, so I'll mark this out. I'll just mark this out. And then this is at 4.5. I'll take 4.5. I hope this video is still capturing.
Yes, ma'am.
So when I measure it round, let me see what I'm going to get. So if, let's say I marked each round and I got, let's say I marked each round, let's say I did my 7 to the quarter. Most of the time it will give, but there are some times when you measure it round, you get like 8. So I'll just come up a bit and adjust it. If I maybe it gave me less, just go down a bit and adjust to yourself. And then the quantity of fabric to fold, you just, now that I've sewn for a while, I just know that if I need 7 and this thing, I can fold maybe this by this, that by that. Okay, let's assume this is the wrapper. Let's assume this is the wrapper. This wrapper is giving 7. And then when you are folding your peplum, especially your 360, the width and the length should be the same. So if I want to fold a normal 360, I'm folding 2 rectangles. They should be the same in both width and length. So this is 27. I should also be having a length of 27. So we'll see I'm having a length of 20. Okay, sorry, no. After I fold into 4. After I fold into 4, I'm having a length of 13.5. So I was cutting a full distance. I should be having a length of 13.5 as well. 13.5 by 13.5. After folding. After you fold into 4, that's for the 360. You be having the same length, the same distance. So, but in order not, I've been telling some of you, you are wasting your fabric. You are wasting your fabric. By the time I cut this thing, I'm wasting this fabric. Do you understand? I'm wasting that fabric. So what I will do is, okay, let's say this was my fabric, and by the time I measured, when I fold it, I'll be having 14.5. Just simply reduce this place. So that I can use the remaining fabric to do something easy. Because in this work, the customer will go 3 years. I want you to show what you want. When you don't know how to manage your customer's fabric, they are going to run away from you. Because imagine the tailor they are coming from, use 3 yards to do science and wonders. And then you cannot use 6 yards. When I was learning, one time I was supposed to make a 1342. I used complete 6 yards for only blouse. For only blouse. Because I didn't know. I think the majority of learning how to economize our learning from the measure. And that's why I advise when you are cutting, cut the biggest thing first. If you are making a blouse, what's the biggest piece on this blouse she's wearing? It's the flame. You cut the flame first. Because after she cut that flame, do you know that the top of that flame can give her a side piece? It can even give her a sleeve. So imagine I come and cut all these things, all these. Sometimes, especially we are sewing 180-degree flame down. If you do mistake and cut a half cut, then you will not see material to cut the down. Because you are putting into the fabric, that's when you sweat. So cut the biggest thing first. If you are making 6 pieces, cut the skirt first. Because 6 pieces is all those excess from the 6 pieces can give you a complete half cut. So you go and do mistake like Martha and her friends. You go and cut all those small things. You come and cut all the big stars that are waste. You just use the person's data. So cut the biggest thing first. So if here, when I fold it, I'm getting 13.5, then it means that what I should be folding is this is the quantity. nothing more, nothing less. I don't know why I should tell you. This remaining part, can't you give me something reasonable? So imagine I just ordered everything and just stop and then what I'll be having is pieces. That's why some kilos and make when I cut and I'm seeing unnecessary pieces. You will see it. I can use, was it not like I use one yard to sew, I use 1 yard to cut clay down for you. That's how it's easy to be sewing. I use 1 yard to cut clay down. You know you that's small. Hey, you don't know how to work, then you're not feeling something. You know that's small. Yes, I use 1 yard to cut clay down. What? You smell like so start somebody will say this one and they use less because I've left out a so right. So let's say I need a clear length using my paper. Using my paper I need a clear length of 5 and I need a clear width of 7. It means I'm giving you an idea of what is going on in my head. I need a clear with a width of 7 and a clear length of 5. So the first thing I will likely maybe just do, and I just say, okay, 7 plus 5 is 13. Let me try 13 by 13. So according to 13 and I like to fold in such a way that I can see the shortage. So instead of folding, inside you have the shortage. And if you are not careful, you go and cut thinking that you see a new one. So I like folding way before this step. Then I will do 7 plus 5. You do it 13. So I'm going to try 13 like that. Most likely the first plate. I'm folding this 13 and a half by 13. So I need to play. Play length of 5 and then play with this is the same 5 and then I look at this is so much. I have it and half. This is how you mark your plate. So the first thing you do is mark out. You see my tape should not leave out. My tape should not leave this point. This is more of a harmony. I need just 7. I need just 7. And I have extra another extra 7. So what the next step I will now take is to reduce the folding by 7. So I had 13 and a half. I'll minus 7. That should be what? That gives me 6. 6. The 6 is not going to be that. Because if I'm looking for, that will give me 6 by 6. But I'm looking for a length of, I'm looking for a length of 5. I'm looking for a length of 5 and a width of 7. Now when I tried getting that width, if I try getting that width, I got it at 4.5. So another step I will take, okay, so let me do 5 plus 4.5. So let's assume I folded this. This was too wide. Another thing is, okay, so let me get that 7 I'm looking for. That 7 I'm looking for, I'll most likely get it here. And this is that. So if I need a clear of 5, this is where 5 is going to be. So that I calculate everything I need to fold. I need to fold 9 and quarter by 9. This is heavy. So definitely going to do what I'm looking for. Let's try. Let me secure my length of 5. My length of 5. And measure from here to here. 4 and 7. Look at the 2 kilos. Because I've not found an dimension in the way. Because, yeah.
Charisma. Very understandable, man. When did this man?
So after I mark my flavors as 4 and 4.
Are you not saying very understandable?
My playlight already gets like there are 2 ways of marking this. You either say so, but the flavors your tape must not be full. So you either do this, mark your flavors, then you come here. At this point you can start shifting it. Or you say okay. Are you for after this or you say okay, the entire length of the flame from this point is 9 and 4. You can either mark it from this point. You're marking from this point, you're going to shift your tape. Or you mark it from this point and then don't shift your tape. You are not getting it. So I either mark from this point. The shifting tape point is if I'm marking from my flame width. If I'm marking 5 inches, if I'm marking from here, I'll mark 5 inches and shift my tape down. Or I mark 9.2 inches from this point and I will not shift my tape. So, but for 360 degree plate, especially when it's plate for glass, I like doing it this way. Because if you are not careful, with this one, you will not do mistake and you will not shift your tape appropriately. Let's say this 5 inches you don't here. If you carry and place here, you are going to get here. This blue, you are going to get 5 inches. If you carry the 5 inches and place here, see where your 5 inches. If you don't shift your tape correctly, if you put your tape like this, you got 5 inches. Then you don't shift it for maybe you don't shift it and came here, you got 5 inches here. If you carry this tape and come here, see where you get 5 inches. So I prefer from this point. This one, it will be correct. Let's try. I think brought back here to get the overall length. 9.2. So many words are not used. Please, I hope you understand. If you don't understand, in fact, you understand now.
You will understand it better.
Anything I explain, you understand it. When you now start doing it, you will know where you truly understand. Okay, have a nice day.
Thank you, ma.
Ma, we should. Madam, ba? Ma.